Now imagine yourself on a train or bus heading home after a hard day's work. You look up and see an ad for a fast food burger. Does this ad make you want to head straight for the store in question? For an upsized meal deal, perhaps?
I don't know about you and I, Lorna, but the kids and grandkids beside you, they'll see that sugary snack and go, give me one of those. In South Australia, they think this is an issue because they've become the first Australian state to ban junk food ads on public transport. Jane Martin is from the Food for Health Alliance. Jane, good morning to you. Thanks for your time today. What does the research tell us between the link between junk food ads and public health?
Well, there's a very clear link between this kind of marketing impacting particularly what children eat, what they want to eat and what they ask to eat. So there's really strong evidence backed up by the World Health Organization and other agencies calling for these kinds of restrictions. And we've seen that come through in the recommendations around the National Obesity Strategy and more recently the inquiry into type 2 diabetes. So it's really critical that we support children to be healthy, and we know that this kind of marketing has a really powerful, persuasive influence on what our children eat, and we shouldn't be surprised. That's exactly what it's designed to do. So that's what advertising works.
So why do you think public transport has been targeted in this case?
Well, in this case, it's under the state's control, so that's really important. And we know that what happens is this advertising builds up. It's not just on TV and digital platforms, it is where children are as they commute to school and other activities. And we know that a large proportion of advertising of food in these environments is for unhealthy food. So it's really important that we are all pulling the levers that we can to protect kids. And ensure that we are denormalising these foods which are really common in their diets. It makes up for adolescents around more than 40% of the energy in their diets, and for children more than a third. So it's really critical that we support improving diets and health.
Some of these statistics are quite incredible. From the Cancer Council, 80% of food ads on public transport and near schools in New South Wales and SA were for junk food. In Victoria, 9 in 10 food ads were for junk food. In WA, children who catch the train exposed to 37 discretionary food ads on their way to school. If they're on a bus or a train, only 4 if they're walking. I guess this is not a surprise, is it?
No, and it's really critical that, in schools and other environments, we're trying to support children to eat fruit and veg, to have, good diets. We've just seen overweight and obesity overtake tobacco smoking as the leading preventable burden of disease. It's really critical to set up these healthy habits early in life. And we know that children are just bombarded with this sort of marketing everywhere they go, including on public transport. So it's really critical that we shift the balance away from this. I mean, wouldn't it be great to see broccoli and carrots promoted above fast food deals? And we just are not seeing that. And hopefully this move in South Australia to support the health of their children and South Australians more broadly will in time protect the health system. And that's what we've seen in other countries. It has a positive impact.
You mentioned before, Jane, that a bus is, in the case of South Australia, under the state's control, so this is something they can do. Are there national rules or national guidelines around junk food ads and kids? Who decides?
Yeah, well, this is a real concern because at the moment it's mostly industry-led voluntary codes. They're ineffective. It's been shown globally that they don't work. So it's really time to move to regulation led by government. Governments, have a role to support the health. 70% of Australians believe that government should be regulating marketing of unhealthy food. So it's really important that they take that role on and move to protect kids, because what we have currently is not sufficient and it's not effective. And why would you expect it to be effective if it's being run by the very people who are promoting these products to make a profit?
Has there been talk, Jane, about social media? Because obviously kids, they got that phone, their iPad in their hand.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we know that that's where advertisers are, because that's where kids are. And at the moment, the government has undertaken a feasibility study to look at options to regulate unhealthy food marketing. And obviously, digital platforms are an important part of that review, and we would expect the government to be considering that just because of the amount of time that children are spending on these devices, but also the huge amount of advertising that they're seeing, and plus the data that is being collected by them. I think these advertisers probably know more about their kids and what they're looking at online than parents, so that's a real concern because of the power of that advertising as well.